Hello and welcome back to Factorio Tightening the Belt Megabase Guide. I'm Xterminator and thank you for joining me here again. We are doing some blue circuits today and also probably yellow science. So blue circuits, I've done some thinking about where we want them and how we want to do this. Now we're not actually going to get them turned on today because it's going to require setting all this up, and I have not had time to do that yet, but we will set up the build so I can go through it with you and it will be ready. And then we're going to go get all the rest of yellow science done, so that when I get this stuff done off camera, we will be all ready to go. So blue circuits, like I said before, are actually really simple. Even though they're a pretty high-tech unit, like a high-tech item, they're actually very simple because you will have already had this infrastructure done. So we already have green circuits, and we already have red circuits, and we already have sulfuric acid. Now sulfuric acid is going to be a bit difficult to get over here, but not too bad. My plan is we're going to use this entire circuit build here for blue circuits, and we're going to build the blue circuits straight off of it. And there's a couple reasons that I want to do this. First off, is these are going to consume a ton of green circuits, so having a dedicated build for them I find is really good. Also, it'll just look nice because they'll be all lined up. And then it's very convenient because the circuits can go straight in and the red circuits are here and can just curve up and go into it. And it's not really going to run into anything because our bus is like not going to be over here, it's going to be more over this way. And it'll be a little easier to get sulfuric acid to. Initially, I thought I was going to do it like below red circuits, but that is a really long way to get acid down. But over here, from just up here to the oil to where we are isn't that bad. So that's kind of the plan. Now, I'm realizing we are pretty much out of steel. We've actually somehow burned through like 4,000 steel. Not entirely sure how that's possible. But we are very low on iron as well, so we are going to need to... Actually, let's reroute this really quick. Because all the iron ore is backed up going the other direction. What we could do is kind of rearrange this so it all comes out one belt, and then we use a priority splitter, which may actually be a better method of doing this. Let me think here for a second. If we have it all come out onto like one or two belts and have it prioritize these, but then everything else goes the other way, that's probably going to be better actually. Yeah, I think we'll leave these just because that's going to be kind of weird to hook in, but like what we'll do is we'll have all of these go this direction and we'll just get rid of this bit. We can still have this happen, but we'll just move it a little bit. So we'll go here. This will come this way. We'll have one come in this way, and then what we'll do is we're going to have a splitter here, and we're going to say you output priority left, but if it's backed up, then it's just going to send everything this direction, which will be perfect. And that will hopefully kind of give us more steel when the iron's backed up and vice versa. So blue circuits, we actually could, since I'm over in this general area, let's, no. I was gonna say let's run sulfuric acid over, but since we're not actually turning on the circuits yet, we don't need that, and I would like to get more like towards yellow science being done, or set up rather. Now we were out of green circuits because we were out of iron, and that was entirely my fault. I forgot to add a condition to this train, which I did go over previously, but adding in this inactivity thing right now, like when all these chests aren't being used because there's several lines that aren't actually hooked up, so using a wait till empty condition won't work because these chests would be all full, like on this one, so it's just going to sit here forever because it's not empty. So adding this or X amount of seconds of inactivity helps, because now if it just doesn't work for 10 seconds, it's going to leave and go pick up more ore. So this is good. We now have this going. Green circuits will come down to reds, which means we'll get reds going. And we want to make sure we do leave room for expansion here. So let me move the car a little bit, back him up. We do want to make sure we have room for another one of these to expand it out. So what we're going to do is figure out what exactly I am doing. How are we doing this? I think it was like something like that, wasn't it? Ish. That doesn't... It's close enough. I'll leave extra room. These lines are like really wonky. I'll get rid of this extra blueprint here just because it's not lined up correctly. But I wanted a general guide, and just for extra room, I'm going to start the blues like here. Just in case I need to move it out this way more. Again, always leaving space is really good. Now, man, it really is quite dark. What we'll do, okay, what we'll do is we'll just get rid of this, and it kind of breaks part of this. So what we'll have to do here is just place this again, and I'm not sure why this is like, oh, that's from the other blueprint. Okay, so we're just gonna get that, hold shift like that, or so, well, that's close enough. Okay. Once we do get blues, we can get power armor, and then we can get night vision. We can make modular armor. I suppose I could make one and put in some batteries and solar panels, but they're so horrible. Like, I mean, it probably could probably power the night vision. We'll do that. Let's just make a couple. This is gonna take forever, but oh geez, yeah. How about we don't do that? Yeah, these solar panels are awful. So blue circuits. They're simple because they require just these ingredients, but they're also simple because they have a perfect ratio of 1-to-1 with green circuits to blue circuits. Now, several updates ago, this was not the case because the blue circuits actually took 20 seconds, so it was like a 2-to-1 or something like that. But now it is an exact 1-to-1 ratio for greens to blues because the blues take 10 seconds and we need 20 circuits, right? But circuits take half a second. So in 1 second, we're making 2 circuits. So in 10 seconds, we're making 20 circuits, and that's exactly how much we need. So what we're gonna do is it's really easy to calculate because now we can just look and just know how many green assemblers we're gonna have and then just build that many blues, and that's how many we can support from this build. Now it may seem excessive, like you may be thinking like, how, is this really gonna be enough to support all my base? Well, the base itself really actually doesn't take that many green circuits. Most of the green circuits go into the blue circuits. So if this is actually running fully, if I can get this iron train to work properly, I'll have to work on that off camera, adjust some things, maybe tie in some of these lines or something to get it moving back and forth quicker. But once that is running fully, then this line and its expanded fully, this should be plenty for the main factory. And this is more than enough. Half of that is more than enough for red circuits because the reds really don't take that much. And how are the reds doing? Are they backed up still? Kind of. Okay. So we know that this build has, well, it has 50 assemblers total, but we can count in there. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 20. So it has 20 green circuit things. And if we expand it again, like I just blueprinted, that's 40. So when this is done, we can support 40 blue circuit assemblers, which is actually quite a lot. I'm gonna place that there because I wanna line this up here with these guys. And I'm running because I am not actually capable of dragging my mouse in a straight line like this. So this is gonna be how this goes, and these are gonna be blues. So now, if we do this, I guess, well, we don't really need to build it out fully yet. We could do like 20 of these maybe for when this build's fully done, or even less. Let's see, that's 4, 5. We could actually just do 10 for right now. It's not going to turn on this minute anyway. Okay, so then greens. We want like a full line of greens. And yellow belt, we will have a full yellow belt out. Actually, we'll have 2 yellow belts out when this is fully built like this. So we could actually just do 2 yellow belts. Probably actually be better, huh? And then you are going to do, I guess you could go to the outside. And then what we're gonna do is somehow get reds. Reds may have to come in from the outside. And this could, I'd like these to go onto 1 belt, but these may have to go onto 2 belts and then merge at the end. It's more belt, but honestly, I'm not that worried about that right now. We're like absolutely nowhere near close to lagging out. So more belt is really not that big of a deal. We'll have the reds come in here. We could do the reds down the middle, 2 lines of reds, but I kind of prefer to, I mean, this is still 2 lines of reds, I suppose, so it really doesn't matter. Either way, one way, the blues will either output on the outside or on the inside, and then the reds will be whichever is not occupied. So that's going to go like that. And let's see, so if those, I mean, really either way, yeah, either way would work in regards to how this is going to be set up. Now these, this is actually too close. This is actually wrong. We want to do what we did with the electric engines. is we can bring this here, like this, and then the long-handed inserters can go outside like that, or if we're exporting like that, and then output or input from a belt over there. So with that in mind, let's just place one to get the spacing. And there we go. So that's going to be this belt. And then this one's here. And really, like, I mean, this does require 2 red circuits, and normally I would say use the faster inserters for whatever the highest throughput thing is. So, you know, initially you may think, well, we want to use the long-handed inserters to export the blue circuits because we're only getting one of those per cycle, whereas we're inputting 2 red circuits. But this is slow enough to where it doesn't matter. You know, even a long-handed inserter can insert 2 items in 10 seconds easily. So that's kind of where that's going to go. Now, like I said, we need to build out the whole thing, and I don't want to do that on camera for you guys because you've probably seen enough of that. But that is kind of the setup we're going to use, and, you know, just like I said, it's going to be green lines close here because these are very high throughput. We will need fast inserters, maybe stack inserters. So green will go here, and then something either red's here or blue output here, and it's really that simple. And then we'll just hook up the sulfuric acid, and it will be good to go. Now, yellow science. Yellow science is actually not all that complicated. Again, because you already have like most of this infrastructure set up. You know, batteries we already have done. Speed modules may seem a little daunting, but they're actually really simple. They're just red circuits and green circuits, and that's it. They're just very straightforward. Now, this is where it can get a little bit tricky because this also needs 30 copper cable, which is kind of like an odd thing. You know, initially, when you think about it, kind of an odd thing to be needing to do, like at this bulk at this stage of the game, which makes making the science pack a little bit interesting and challenging sometimes, depending how you want to do it. So let's start with placing our assemblers for the science, because that will, again, give us our spacing and such like that. So same number as this. It takes the same amount of time as the purples and gives us the same amount, so we're just going to want 14 of these, and we will try to line them up with these guys, which should actually just line up here. See, this is really nice. You can just kind of drag down. So we'll just do that. Now, these are going to need... It's actually going to be where it gets a little bit tricky. Let's see. Because I want to do, if possible, I want to do direct insertion for copper cable, because these do take 14 seconds, but it's 30 copper cable. That's a lot. That's 2 copper cable, a little more than 2 copper cable a second. And with 14 of these, I don't think, with 2 a second times 14, it's essentially, it needs 30. So it's essentially 30 cable a second, which is more than even a red belt can carry. So putting it on a belt isn't really going to be good because you're not going to have enough throughput. So let's just build these out first, and we'll figure out how we want to do this, because the problem with this direct insertion is I don't know if we're going to have enough belt spaces to get everything in and out as we need to. Let's see, I don't think I counted this right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. All right, lines up, perfect. Because we also need to get 3 materials in on top of that. So if I'm direct inserting like that, it's not really gonna work because we don't have room for a belt. We can put 2 belts here, which is great and all, but then there's not gonna be an output. Now what we could do is we could do kind of some shenanigans like we do with the steel setup over here. See how we're sharing the coal and the steel? Is we could actually do that here. That would actually work pretty well because we can put a low throughput thing like batteries or speed modules on this outside belt and just have it be on one half of it. And then these guys will output onto the other half of it. And then we can just do the underground thing and or priority or splitter. Splitter would probably be better. And just have these go out, and that's actually probably the best way to do it. So let's go ahead and so we're actually gonna need 2 long-handed like that, and then we're gonna need a fast inserter like that. because we need to grab and export onto that far out belt. Now let's go up to the mall and get some assemblers. Now direct insertion, I am doing a 1-to-1. Now this is not quite a 1-to-1 for the cable to the high tech. So it's very close, right? Because we need 30 cable in 14 seconds. And cable gives us 2 per second, or 2 per, actually no, sorry. I think it's like a 1-to-2. Hold on, I miscalculated. You get to see me recalculate this on camera. So these guys actually produce 4 per second, which means 4 times 14 is what, 56? So it's almost a 1-to-2, which is still doable. It's a little less than 1-to-2, right? Because we would actually need, for 2 of these guys, for 2 of these high-tech guys, we would need 60 cable in 14 seconds, and this would make 56 cable in 14 seconds. But we can kind of remedy that by using some speed modules. And this is where it can come in really, really handy, these speed modules, because let's just grab a bunch of everything. Red belt, I don't think I need red belt. Let's get some yellow belt though, because if we stick like one speed module in there, that should be enough theoretically. And actually, we have this armor all done now. Let's stick this here. So if you right click on your armor, first off, if you mouse over it, it shows their accepted equipment. This can be a little confusing if you don't read that actual header there, accepted equipment, because I've actually been confused before too at first glance. I'm like, oh hey, I have all that stuff in my armor. No, that's just what it can accept. So if you right click on it, for modular armor, power armor, and power armor Mark II, it has a grid in here. The other ones don't, but if you right click on this, you have this grid where you can place equipment. Now, I only have a battery, a solar panel, and night vision, but there are all kinds of other equipment. You know, there's, well, these things from the mod. There's also personal robo ports. There's fusion reactors, which we'll definitely want to get later. There's personal laser defenses, which are awesome. There's shields, there's exoskeletons to make you run quicker, all kind of stuff. So we probably want more than one solar panel. Actually, I'm gonna grab some circuits and get crafting on the solar panels here. Let's just make one more. Okay, so as I was saying, just one speed module in there should take care of it, because that is a 20% speed boost, which is pretty significant. I mean, that's, you know, that's another 10 cable or so out of what we would need, and that's more than enough, because we actually only need 4 more. So I'm going to, oh, it's unfortunate. It's not centered. I could space these out one and have it be centered, and that's actually really tempting. I mean, it's okay, I guess. If we do this, if we just make them all the same offset, it's not that big of a deal. So let's do this. Yeah, I don't really want to space these out, these guys, because they're already lined up with all this. So this should be fine. So these guys are going to now be cable. And there we go. So then we can just put some speed modules in them. We don't need many. Like I said, we just need 1 per. So this is, what, 8, 2, or 7, 2, 4, 6, 7 machines. So we'll just need 7 speed modules. Pretty easy to make. And we'll just run this over here. And then this guy like that. Oh. And that's actually what I just did there is not a very good way to do this. You can actually quick replace on top of inserters to change the direction. So I didn't actually have to pull that up. If you just place it on top, it'll just change its direction, which I always forget that I can do. All right, there we go. And then lastly, just these guys. Now you can't do it with different types of inserters, right? So this is actually really nice, because now I can just hold down mouse button and drag and walk, because it's only placing them in the one slot that's available. It's not going to replace those. Now powering these might be a little bit interesting. Actually, no, it's entirely fine. I'm not going to power it quite yet, because we don't need to. But there's that, and then this guy is just going to get copper cable. Or not copper cable, copper from this to make the copper cable. And he can probably just get away with one of these. Now, we may end up, if we end up needing to insert quicker, we cannot get another inserter on this one. So we may have to go to stack inserters for that. to insert into here quicker, which is not that big of a deal, really, to go to stack inserters for that. So here's going to be copper. Let's get copper run over. Where is copper? Oh wow, he's like... Copper was totally left behind, man. It's way over here. See, this shows that like none of this stuff actually needs copper, which is kind of an indication as to how iron heavy things are in the game. Later on, when you do like start creating like mass modules and such, it's pretty copper heavy just because of all the circuits it requires, but until then, it's very iron heavy. And again, I probably shouldn't underground the bus, but it's just the same amount of undergrounds, whether it's undergrounding both these or just that twice. Oops, that would be red. Also, that reminds me, somebody said when I was undergrounding, darn it, what was it? I forget what it was. Someone said when I was undergrounding something last episode, oh, was it here? No. They said I did like a yellow instead of what should have been a red. Where did I do that? These are all yellow belt. I'll have to reread the comments and fix it off camera. I did read the comments and now I forgot what the specific thing was. Was it like a yellow underground on this red iron belt? Oh, it was. Okay, cool. You can just use this quick replace feature, which is super nice. And there we go. So copper, come on down. Oh, stop moving me. Do that. And then he's gonna go like that and over to here. Perfect. And then red circuits, yeah, that's fine. Okay, so this is gonna go here. Now we'll probably, we've only been running off of one copper belt this entire time. We will probably have more, and I'll probably end up switching stuff around so that like a separate copper belt is going to all this stuff up here, and then like one whole one is going down here, because this is actually going to take a lot of copper to make this many cable. So we're going to, for now, this is just going to have to do, but we will get another line going and probably send it dedicated to here. So that's going to be copper, and then we also needed batteries, blue circuits, which we're getting to, and speed modules. So speed modules are going to be interesting because I didn't exactly leave room for them. We can do them below it though. Batteries should be pretty straightforward. Let's do that to make it even, and do this. We'll run the batteries over. Oh, and also, I guess you guys said I forgot an inserter on my battery production too, which I will have to take a look at. So batteries were one thing that only needed one of, so I think we'll have the batteries merge onto this, and they need to be on the inside, remember, because the inserters always output on the far side, so those yellow packs are going to be on the far side, and this actually works absolutely perfectly because these are already on the close side. Now the real question is, do we want to split this or just have it go straight in? Is there anything that's really going to need batteries past this point? I'm trying to think. Lasers, maybe. Yeah, I guess we could split it. Probably smart thing to do. They're still going to be on the close side though, which is perfect. So there we go. We have no batteries because some reason. Wonder what we're out of. What are we out of? They ran out of iron. Oh yeah, so this one didn't have an output. Okay. They did run out of iron. That's no big deal. So there's batteries. There's that. Blue circuits will come onto this belt, and they'll come onto the far side of it because the speed modules will be underneath this, remember, so they're going to merge onto the close side. And the speed modules are going to be pretty straightforward because we only need one per, right? And we're consuming them at a rate of 1 per second here. And that means that we need to produce them at a rate of 1 per second, which means we need 15 machines because they take 15 seconds. Now this is going to eat through the greens and the reds pretty heavily. So this is actually probably going to be a large amount of our green consumption on the main bus. Probably we'll have to expand that main green circuit build to accommodate for that. We can just do this here. So that's, well, we know we have 14 there, so we can bring it up to this point and then just one more to be 15. Like so. And we'll just copy paste. And it would help if I actually place these not that close. Oh dear. All right. This will be so much easier with bots. We're very close. We just need blue circuits. We can do personal robot ports in this, but since we can't fit a fusion reactor, I find it like almost entirely pointless because these solar panels are just utterly worthless. So we're gonna wait till we can get a power armor, which just needs 40 blue circuits, and then we can get at least one fusion reactor, and then a personal robot port. I mean, I have run personal robot ports on batteries and solar panels before, but let me tell you guys, it is painful. It is horribly slow. And the materials you invest into the solar panels and stuff to actually get enough of them to make it work is just kind of heartbreaking. So we're just gonna not do that. Nope. And I guess I didn't specifically mention this, but if it wasn't apparent, the upgraded armors do give you a bigger grid. So you can see here, this guy has a grid size of 5x5. This one has 7x7, and I believe the Power Armor Mark II has a 10x10. So that's the reason I could get a fusion reactor in there, is because it does give me a bigger grid size. And the fusion reactor, we don't have unlocked, but I think it's like a 3x3 or 4x4, so it doesn't really fit in here. Or it does, but then there's no room for anything else. Okay, so we need greens and we need reds over here. Let's go ahead and get these. This is gonna be pretty much all my belt. Let's go get belt, and then also we should throw some more iron into those batteries. And that'll be pretty good. I'm actually pretty happy with what we got done this episode, because this means that yellow science should be pretty much ready to go next episode if we can get the if I can get the smelters and stuff built off camera, and then have those blue circuits turned on. So that will be really good, because that's the last science before launching rockets to get the space science, which I think is pretty decent. Actually, I usually takes me longer than this to get science set up, so I think we're making a pretty good pace. I'm just gonna grab all of it, and don't worry, I'm not gonna be doing this forever. As I mentioned last episode, this will probably be done with bots, or I will just break down and throw some or run some belt up here. But for now, it's probably fine. All right, so you are going to come over here. That's on the same one, so we want to do that. We can pick up some more iron on our way back. How's he doing on copper? Not great. It's some batteries, though. All right. Just grab a little bit more iron. Oh, now the solar panel is done. You can see how slowly it's charging this battery. Like, these things only give us 10 kilowatt output. Now, granted, this only takes 10 kilowatts, so it should be fine. But they're just... It's really, like, it's super expensive. These only give us 10 kilowatts, but it takes 5 solar panels, a red circuit, and steel. 5 steel to make one. Which I think I don't really like it. Okay, so we wanted to run the green circuits down. Well, that's not what we wanted. Now, in regards to the electric furnaces, when I discussed the electric furnaces last episode, some people had some good points, which didn't really negate my point. In fact, it kind of solidified it even more. Is that, like, electric furnaces are really good for, like, you know, if you want to do, like, non-centralized smelting later on, like if you want to smelt at your ore patches and then have the trains bring the plate, that is... the electric furnaces are really good for that, right? Because if you use steel furnaces or stone furnaces for some reason, you'll have to get fuel there somehow. But with the electric furnaces, you don't need the fuel, so you can smelt a lot easier at your ore patches. But again, that kind of just solidifies my point of that's why I don't find having smelters upgradable for electric furnaces to be necessary, because I mean, you know, if you're going to smelt at the outpost, or even if you're not going to probably be using the same smelter setup or the same smelter area. But then also, because some people are probably wondering, there is an advantage to smelting on site at an outpost, and the advantage to that is that it's more compressed throughput and less trains because ore only stacks to half as much as plate. Ore stacks to 50 and plate stacks to 100, as you can see in my inventory here. So having your ore turned into plate at the outpost and having the train take the plate instead of the ore is it can actually carry twice as much plate, which is definitely better, obviously. Now there are disadvantages to it as well, unless you have like insanely rich patches or super high mining productivity, because this isn't really gonna work, is it? Darn it. Alright, so I'm gonna rearrange these because the issue then with it is that when your ore patch runs out, you have to move the whole thing. And this is why I normally don't do it, because I do not like having to pick up like an entire smelting base and move it. So that is one disadvantage, is that when your ore patch runs out, you then have to pick it up. Well, you have to pick it up probably anyway, but you have to pick up then a whole smelter and then go build the entire smelter again on a new outpost. And sure, once you get bots, it is a lot easier. I still find it to be a pain. So if you do want to do on-site smelting, I would suggest setting your patch richness way higher than normal, or just waiting till really late game when you have a super high mining productivity. And I am turning these on because we do actually need a couple here to be putting in these cable machines. Now we're actually going to do an interesting kind of a little bit of spoiler later on. Once we get to Megabase stage, we are going to be doing an interesting technique that I've been kind of playing around with and talking with some guys about. Is we're actually going to be doing miners directly into trains on the ore patches, and the reason for this is for game performance reasons. Because once you do get to Megabase, especially a belt Megabase, your performance will start getting down once you get big enough. And part of what contributes to lowering game performance is actually trains. Believe it or not, once you get enough trains, it can really impact how it is. Or I should be more specific. Once you get enough train entities, is train entities being cargo wagons and locomotives. It's not like on a per train basis, it's like a per train entity basis. So having like 50 410 trains may not be better than having like 100 242 trains or whatever, because it's like the same amount of entities. So what you want to do is just reduce the amount of train entities all together. And to do this, it's going to be decent to smelt on or to load into the trains directly. Well, that may not reduce train entities as much necessarily, but what it will reduce is inserters, because you no longer need inserters to load the ore into boxes, and then more inserters to unload from the boxes into the train, and then stuff like that. And it won't require belts, and it won't require bots either. So it's literally just the miners and then the train. And it's going to be, it may not reduce train entities that much. My point's still valid about the train entities, and we will do some other things to reduce that. But really, it gets rid of quite a lot of inserters, because inserters are very high up there in regards to lowering game performance when you get enough of them. And then obviously belts and bots are as well. So this is already, we have these in here placed, so that should be good to go. All we will need is the blue circuits. And for the last bit of this episode, I think we want to make some Robo ports. So we're going to make 3. These guys take advanced circuits, iron gears, and steel. Now, normally I would automate these, and I know because if I don't mention this, people are going to yell at me to automate these. I don't really see a reason to right now, because, like I said, this is going to be an almost entirely belt-based factory. We're only going to use this for essentially taking from the mall to give to ourselves, to have the robots give to us, and then to move a few things like maybe iron and copper up to the batteries. So I'm really not going to need that many robo ports, and handcrafting them, I can just handcraft them while I'm building something or whatever, is not going to be that big of a deal. Okay, so how do robo ports work? Well, you can see here now we've placed one. These guys are going insane. This thing is X amount of objects or missing material for construction. And it's all this stuff, because anything in a construction zone that is not built is essentially calling for robots to build it, if it's a blueprint. Now, if you mouse over a robo port when you go to place one, like I was doing, there's two zones. There's the orange zone, which is your logistics zone, and then there's your construction zone, which is the green area. And they do overlap, so your construction zone is also in the logistics zone too. It's not like, you know, the construction bots can't go in the orange area. But you'll notice the green construction zone is far bigger than the orange one. And it's very simple in regards to the limitations. The green zone is only for construction bots, and the orange zone is pretty much as far as the logistics bots can go. So your logistics robots cannot leave this orange coverage area, cannot go out into those farther areas of the green. But your construction bots can. Okay, so there's that. Now, your robo ports can connect. You can see this line here, and they have a decent connection range. But if they don't connect, what this will do is this will create a separate robo network, and you need to be careful because if you're not aware of the fact that they do connect and you can do multiple networks, this may cause some confusion. Or, you know, if you have your network and you have stuff in a chest that robots can take from, and then, you know, farther down the network you have something requesting them and they never get it, it may be because you've not actually connected your networks. And because you can see here that they're not connected, so ones from this lower robo port are never going to go into this upper one. Logistics wise, the green areas do overlap still, so I believe the construction robots can still venture into there. I'll have to test that. I'm actually not 100% on that, or if the robo ports do need to be connected for the construction bots to even go there. But definitely logistics bots. So you want to make sure you do connect these where you want a whole logistics network. Now, in terms of chests, how long are we on this episode? We're 36 minutes. I think I'll cover chests next episode because there's a fair bit to discuss with those. So robo ports, fairly straightforward. What they do is they allow your robots to deploy because you put your robots in here. You can put construction repair packs in here for your construction bots to use to repair things. Logistics bots cannot use repair packs. And then they also allow charging. There's 4 charge slots here, 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 and here. And your robots will come here and can charge because they have limited battery life. So you want to maybe place them strategically as well. So like past the robots will take, they'll be able to fly over a roboport rather than having to veer off and go somewhere else to charge. And I'll cover that a little bit more maybe next episode, but I'm going to end this one for now, and we'll cover chests and such next episode. But as always, thank you so much for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed and found it helpful. Any questions or comments you have, do leave down below, and I'll do my best to respond. But until next time, I look forward to seeing you all, and do take care.